Today on Disney's, we've got 10 mistakes newbies make, and we've got a lot of need-to-know details from how to get on the ship as early as possible to how to get those hard-to-acquire reservations. So here's the thing, as you may know, Disney likes to be different, and Disney cruises are no exception. With all those Disney details you need to know, there are definitely some that are more important than others. And there are a couple of details that you have to do, so make sure you stick around for all of this. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Number 1 is our favorite way to get a Disney cruise discount, and that's their $250 placeholder. Basically, a placeholder is a general reservation. It's not for any specific ship or port, it's for Disney Cruise Line in general. You will purchase the placeholder once you are already on the ship. You can actually do it through the app now. You don't even have to go to their desk. But if you want to talk to someone specifically about upcoming cruises, they do have a desk with some limited hours, but you can talk to somebody about it. If you just want to make the placeholder, you can also do that in the app. I think they still have a paper drop-in at the desk. Actually, they might not have that paper aspect anymore. But the important thing here is you want to book it on the ship. If you happen to have a travel agent, you'll want to notate that on the reservation. And this placeholder is typically good for up to 2 years. If you are not going to sail within that date, you do want to make sure and cancel in time to get your refund. And you'll typically get 10% off that cruise when you book the placeholder on board. If there is a specific cruise that you want and a specific rate that you want to lock in while you're on the ship, that's great too. You can pay that deposit. You'll get the 10% off because you booked it on board. There are multiple times I have forgotten to make this $250 placeholder and then just kicked myself because I like to save 10% on a Disney cruise. I can put that money toward port excursions. And also, if you've got a big trip you're wanting to do, transatlantic, Panama Canal, it really does help to get 10% off. You can lock in the rate while you're on the ship, so make sure you budget in that placeholder. The second mistake newbies will often make is not actually looking into groups for your cruise. Now this is a little different because when you go to Walt Disney World, you're not necessarily going to have this type of experience or interaction. A lot of Disney cruisers really love to do Facebook groups. A veteran Disney cruiser will often create a Facebook group for your cruise. You can typically find it by putting in the ship name and dates that you are going to be sailing. And these groups are absolutely not Disney Cruise Line endorsed or led. These are Disney Cruise passenger driven, and they can be a lot of fun. As you know, sometimes you book these cruises out 400 days in advance or more, so there's a lot of time usually in between booking and sailing to build up some anticipation, and that's what the Facebook group is really great for. People will share fun images with countdowns. People will go on just to meet some other cruises before they get on the ship, perhaps if they're single parents traveling alone, or if they've got young ones and they'd like to make some friendships for them before they actually get on the ship. People will do that as well. I think the biggest thing people love the Facebook groups for is the gift exchanges. They have a few different types, but the most popular one is the fish extenders. What on earth is a fish extender? When you're on the cruise ship, right next to your stateroom door, there's a kind of a fancy clip, and some of them are in the shape of a fish. Disney Cruise Line does use these clips to send communications to your stateroom, but cruisers use these for the fish extenders. A fish extender is basically a gift exchange. You use a pocket organizer, hang it on that clip. There'll be a sign up within the group where you will enter some general details about who's in your party, ages, favorite characters, etc. And there's typically 5 to 10 staterooms per group, and then each group will do gift exchanges with every stateroom in their group. And then those gifts are delivered into your pocket organizer that's hanging next to your stateroom door. There's not any real specifics about what the gifts needs to be. There's no specific price range usually. It's just really having a lot of fun and adding some pixie dust onto your trip. We did really enjoy doing the fish extenders. You do get a lot of fun stuff. Sometimes there'll be things like cups with the date and the name of the trip you're going on or the ship. I think the most fun exchanges though, in addition to the fish extender exchange, are magnet exchanges. People will make their own magnets, and those are fun reminders to have on your refrigerator. Recipe exchanges, which can be a lot of fun to get recipes for specific states or countries. And my very favorite, the ornament exchange. There's a highly coveted one that looks exactly like the stateroom door number, so I would get on that exchange just to try and get one of those. But it's really cool because you'll get multiple ornaments. Sometimes they'll have the date. They're just more personal that way, and they're great to have every Christmas. You can be reminded of your trips. Really a lot of fun. And pro tip, while you're on the ship, buy an ornament. Make sure it's got the year on it. That's a lot of fun too, especially if you're going to do multiple Disney cruises. People will also sometimes have group t-shirts, group meetups when they get on the ship. It's just a fun way to add some excitement to the cruise, some pixie dust. Absolutely not required. You can have a fabulous cruise without doing this. But a lot of first-time cruisers will get on the ship and are taken by surprise by all the magnets on the doors and those fish extenders hanging next to the stateroom doors. So now you know what those are. Just a great way to add add some extra pixie dust to the cruise. Now, number 3 is one of those things that you have to make sure that you do, and that's do your online check-in. It is necessary to do the online check-in. They need verification docs, photos, etc. Online check-in is typically 30 days prior to your sail date. When you do that online check-in, you can do it on the Navigator app. Pro tip, make sure you download that Navigator app as soon as you book your cruise. There's a fun little countdown in there. It's called the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app, and you will need it on the ship. It's a little glitchy sometimes at home and on the ship, so just be aware of that. One of the important things with your online check-in is that you will get to select your port arrival time. I typically have my computer open to my reservation as well as the Navigator app, because you're never quite sure which one's gonna work the fastest. So we have both going, and we will also get on there as soon as online check-in opens, which is 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 days before your cruise. The reason we do this at that moment is because we like to get the earliest port arrival time available. The earliest port arrival time is going to be for concierge. They do get to get on the ship before anyone else. So that's how you get the absolute earliest. But after that, get on there exactly at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and grab your port arrival time. It will take you through some specifics first. You can put in, come back to that, and get to the time, and then go back and do it. And they do have this listed everywhere as the PAT. There are a lot of acronyms with Disney Cruise Line, so that's one of them. If for some reason you don't love the time that you got, check back. Over the next 30 days, people cancel their cruises, change things. You might still be able to get an earlier one. Now, the second part that is not required, but that you really do want to do, is select your activities. Now, these are going to go by Castaway Club member level. As many of you know, this is Disney Cruise Line's loyalty program. Your Castaway Club level is based on how many cruises you have completed, and they do have different timing for activities selections. For example, the activity booking window for brand new cruisers is 75 days prior to your sail date. If you have done one cruise before, then you are considered a Silver Castaway level, and you'll be able to book those activities at 90 days prior to your cruise. If you are higher than that, then you already know how this works, so I'm gonna stop right there. But that's how you do the timing for choosing your activities. This is another one of those where you want to get on at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because these things do go quick. Again, we'll have the computer and the phone ready to make the reservations, because you never know which one's gonna get in there. We actually will have everyone in our party ready to do this, because that's the best shot at getting these reservations. They do get snagged quick. But don't get discouraged if you don't get it right away. When you're doing these activity selections, you're going to reserve things like a nursery, specialty dining, port excursions. They have alcohol tastings that are a lot of fun. We highly recommend the chocolate and liquor tasting. We do it every time we sail because it's our favorite. We also really enjoy mixology. You'll get about 4 or 5 different mixed drinks during that class, so make sure you get a little food too. But with the activity selection, you're going to be able to get those very coveted Palo reservations. Palo's their Northern Italian specialty restaurant, and people really do enjoy their brunch in particular. If for some reason they do not have the reservations or activities that you want available in the time that you want, choose another time. Go back and see if you can change it later. At least you've got a reservation. If they don't have it available at all, don't get discouraged. Just come back. I seriously check a couple of times a day just to see if something's popped up. It doesn't take long. We have always been able to get the reservations we wanted. If for some reason you still can't get it before you get on the ship, as soon as you get on the ship, go to the guest services team for what you are trying to reserve and see if they can help you there. Every once in a while, they just are really booked. They'll put you on a wait list. If for some reason you don't do that activity on that cruise, don't be discouraged about that either, because there's a lot more cruises coming up. You absolutely cannot do everything on your first cruise, or even any one cruise, honestly, unless you're doing a transatlantic. Then you probably can fit most of it in. Okay, so number 4, another way that Disney loves to do things differently is their main dining. Within their main dining, they will seat families together, so you could easily find yourself sitting with other people that you don't know every evening for dinner. For example, on our first cruise, it was just me and my son, who was 15 at the time. They seated us with 2 other single mothers and their sons that were the same age. So it was really fun because there was 3 of us there, because the 3 of us single moms had somebody to talk to, and the 3 boys were all in vibe. They really had a great time. After that cruise, though, we started requesting our own table because that's just how we prefer it. And they have been able to honor that request every time. They absolutely do not guarantee guarantee it, but it is so worth asking. And with this, you won't actually know until you get on the ship whether or not you have your own table, and you won't know until you get to dinner. So if it's really important to you, go find that dining guest services team and they can verify whether or not it was able to be achieved or if they can do something at that time. Number 5 is one people just don't realize, I think, and that's to wear your bathing suit under your clothes. When you get on Disney Cruise Line, especially if you get on around noon, your stateroom's not going to be available until 2 o'clock. So most people will spend those couple of hours going to youth clubs, getting registrations, checking with guest services, eating lunch, etc. After those first few hours, those swimming pools can get a lot like tiny human soup. They do get full. So if you've got your suit on when you get on the ship, you can go straight to the water slides. The Aqua Duck on the Dream and Fantasy is really fun. It's the first water coaster at sea. It goes out over the water a little bit, and it's really fun at night. Make sure you check that out. They have the Aqua Dunk on the Disney Magic, which is basically a drop slide, and on the Disney Wish, they have the Aqua Mouse, which is their first attraction at sea. These are considered water rides, so you do need your swimsuit, and the lines can get pretty long, especially on days at sea. During those first few hours, though, on the first day, you usually can get on those slides really fast. We just walked onto the Aqua Duck a couple of times, so that's definitely worth it. They'll have towels all over the place too, so no worries there. It's just a really fun way to start your cruise. We actually completely forgot to go back and do the Aqua Duck again, so I was really glad we did it that first day. We did try to get on around 10:30 one night, and I think it was closed, so check into the times as well. Number 6, you don't want to forget to bring those princess dresses or pirate costumes. Disney cruising is a lot of details, it's a lot of fun, but you know there's some things that are going to happen when you're on the ship that if you're not prepared for, you might be a tiny bummed. And of course, that's princess dresses and pirate costumes. They have princess gatherings on the cruise ship. As a matter of fact, pro tip, book that on your activity check-in. There is no additional cost for the princess gathering, but you do need a ticket for it. They'll meet 4 princesses all at once. It's really fun, especially if they've got their own princess dress and their favorite princess just happens to be there. Oh boy. And of course, Pirate Night is a huge deal on Disney Cruise Line as well. It is not on every cruise, but it is on the Bahamian and Caribbean cruises as well as some others. And people really do get decked out. I have seen full costumes for entire families. I've also seen people with just a pirate t-shirt, so you don't have to have these things. But for some people, they would be quite disappointed if they didn't have these costumes for the ship. And Pirate Night is actually Pirate Day. I'm not going to tell you all the details in case you want to be surprised about it, but it is a lot of fun. Everything is going to be themed on the ship, activities, food, and it can be a lot of fun to have those costumes there. Now, that being said, pro tip for you, get everything you want to pack, lay it out on the bed, and cut it down by half. You will inevitably take way too much stuff for a Disney cruise unless you are a master minimalist packer, and you need to have some room for those costumes, which actually takes me to number 7. You want to be really intentional with how you pack for a Disney cruise. There's a lot going on, and if you have costumes and fish extender gifts, you're going to need a lot of space. So it really helps if you pack intentionally. A big mistake newbies make is not unpacking the first day on the cruise. As soon as we get into the stateroom around 2 o'clock, that's the first thing we do is unpack. Now, that's a lot easier and faster to do if you do a couple of things ahead of time. We use vacuum seal bags for things like princess dresses to make them smaller in the suitcase. We also will pack packing cubes so that we can take the cubes directly out of the suitcase and put them right into the drawer. Makes it really easy, especially if you're trying to do outfits for your little ones, by outfit, by type, by day, however works for you, obviously. It really makes it a lot quicker and easier though if you do that pre-packing planning. And then most times you can just slide your suitcase under the bed. And if it doesn't fit close, just open it up. It'll usually slide under there. We also bring pop-up hampers to put into the closet, a really easy way to deal with clothing on the ship. And then you can just put them back into those vacuum seal bags and wash them when you get home. They do have laundry services on the ship as well. I just have not used those yet. I prefer vacuum seal bags and pop-up hampers. One other pro tip here, take a duffel bag, put it inside one of your suitcases. That way you've got extra luggage to bring home all your souvenirs and fish extender gifts. Or my favorite suggestion that I have not been able to do yet though because I packed too much is leave half of your suitcase empty. That way when you're packing to go home, you can just throw it all in there. You don't have to pack it perfectly because you got plenty of room, or you've got plenty of room for souvenirs. And number 8, we actually want to consider alcohol when we're talking about packing because Disney Cruise Line will allow you to carry on 2 bottles of wine or 6 bottles or cans of beer per adult over 21 per port. So you've got to carry it on, you've got to be old enough, and you can do it at every port. So if you want some beers while you're in Jamaica, no problem. Bring them back on the ship. Number 9 is one of my very favorites. 24-hour room service is included with the cost of your cruise. They do suggest a tip of $1 to $2 per item, and you can do that through the app. We really love room service delivered, and we'll utilize it all day. At night, we like to fill out the form for continental breakfast delivery. We'll have some juice, fruit, and coffee delivered about 9 a.m. And when we have a veranda, it's really nice to just go out and enjoy the coffee on the veranda. It's a great way to wake up. In the afternoons, we like to get some salad delivered. We especially love their Greek salad. It is so good, and honestly, their Caesar salad, I love it also. I don't know why, but I just love those two salads while on the ship, probably because of all the heavy food. And then later in the evening, we'll get an all-hands-on-deck cheese plate and have that with our wine while we're getting ready. And at the very end of the night, we will either get warm cookies and milk, a Mickey bar, which is not on the menu, but they do have it, and you can make an ice cream sandwich with it if you order cookies and a Mickey bar. And sometimes I'll just get a Caesar salad to go with a little Disney Plus before bed. However you do it, make sure you get room service. Their BLT is another huge favorite. There's a lot of bacon on that one. They do have a few items on the room service menu that are not included with the cost of the cruise. Things like bagged popcorn, canned sodas. They will have it noted that it's an extra cost on those. And pro tip, soda, coffee, teas, juice are included with the cost of your cruise at main dining restaurants and at the soda stations up on the pool deck and in the buffet area. They do have fairly small cups, so a lot of people like to bring their own larger cups so they don't have to go back and forth so much. One other pro tip, if you buy their drink of the day cup or their beer mug, you can get a little bit more beer or cocktail for a tiny bit lower price, and it's a souvenir to take home. A lot of fun. Those are only available on the first day of the cruise. I've got a couple of more pro tips for you, and we've got deep dives on a lot of subjects in here, so make sure you check that out. But first, number 10 is so important and so easy to forget, not just for newbies, for anybody. Make sure you take time on the cruise to just sit and relax and soak it all in. A Disney cruise is fabulous, and they go by fast, especially if you're going to activities and port excursions, tastings, stage shows. And by the way, don't miss out on those stage shows. They are excellent, but really take time to just soak it all in. My very favorite is to go up to Funnel Vision at the end of the day and just relax, listen to the ocean, watch a movie for a little bit, and kind of breathe. Especially if you're the planner, it's really easy to get into all the details that have to be done, making sure everyone's having fun. We need to be here, we need to be there. That cruise can fly by in an instant, especially if it's a 3 or 4 night cruise. So really remind yourself when you're on the ship, take the time to soak it in. You'll really be glad you did when you get back home and you're thinking about the trip. Okay, and now a couple of pro tips for you. 1, make sure you get there a day early. I have said this before and I will say it again. I cannot stress it enough. Make sure you get there a day early. It is so worth it. You don't want to be late for your cruise. If you're driving, if there's an accident on the road, sometimes they close down highways. Not very often, but you don't want it to happen on your Disney cruise day. And especially if you're flying, make sure you get in there a day early. One little flight gets delayed, that can ruin everything. And in addition to getting there a day early, make sure you get a hotel that is right by the port, and even better, get a room with a view of the ships. It's like Christmas Day to wake up and be able to see the ship outside your window on your embarkation morning. Make sure you see their stage shows. They are fabulous, Broadway quality, and you do want to get there about 15 minutes early or so to get a good seat, maybe even a little bit more. And if for some reason you can't actually make it to the theater to watch the show, they will have them on the stateroom TV sometimes. Don't plan on that because sometimes the reception isn't the best, but it is an option. And our last pro tip, there are a couple of activities on the ship that are extremely popular. Those are Match Your Mate and the Diaper Dash. Match Your Mate is for adults only. It will be in the evening. They will take 3 couples from the audience, a newlywed couple, the longest married couple, and one that's in between. They'll send the guys out, ask the women questions about the guys, bring them back in and have them answer the questions and see if they got it right. Then vice versa with the ladies. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of details that usually come out, especially with the longest married couple and the family members that are in the audience. Really a fun experience. And it can easily get standing room only. Match Your Mate is our number 1 suggestion for the cruise. Okay, well, that's tied with chocolate and liquor tasting, actually. And then the Diaper Dash is one of my very favorites. It's Jack's Diaper Dash from The Incredibles. Basically, they're gonna race babies. This was gone for a while because of COVID, but they are back now, and it is so fun. They'll take about 9-month-old babies, put them at the start line, put a family member at the other end, and try to entice them to cross the finish line. It's just really a lot of fun to watch. Make sure you go check out How the Rich Do Disney Cruise, 11 things you should never do on a cruise ship, and most importantly, everything you need to know for your Disney cruise in 2023. We've got deep dives also for practically every topic on this list. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you real soon with some more Disneys.